What's up, Soul Family? Coming at you with another collective read. I've been trying to take my own advice and taking time off to give myself self-care. But let's jump in. So the first card we had that popped out is going to be Kitty Pryde with We All Begin Somewhere. So right off the bat, this is going to kind of, or at least the initial message is gearing towards making sure that you are celebrating your accomplishments and not downplaying the fact that you might have had growth, even though you might not be where you want to. Because everybody has to start somewhere. Everybody has to begin a new skill or begin somewhere within a skill. I think that's especially true when it comes to something like manifestation, where you are trying to work with non-physical energy. You're trying to bring things into this physical realm. It can be very easy to get annoyed and frustrated with the process because it's sometimes it can be difficult. It can be a pain in the butt sometimes, to be honest. But let's pull some tea leaves and get into the rest. So we have funnel, and I guess right as we just said it, period of frustration, lessons to be learned. Then we have hammock with taking a vacation, physically or mentally. And then we have July, so maybe there's something significant that's going to happen within a, 8-month time frame? I forget what month we're in. I'm horrible at time, but or maybe something big happened in July. 2 cards just fell on the ground, so I'm going to go pick those. We also have shield, which is you need to defend yourself. And then woman, and that means dealings or relationships with a woman. So when it comes to like the energy of you need to defend yourself, I think sometimes we have to stand our ground. I don't think we always want to be in the position of looking for conflict or seeking out altercations, but I think there are times like where we need to make sure that we are actually defending ourselves. And I think that's actually a part of becoming emotionally mature. It's not always just being passive and letting things fly. It's sometimes allowing yourself to play the role of somebody who's going to double down a little bit, at least when it comes to protecting their energy and not allowing themselves to have their boundaries being pretty much just ran over, essentially. But so the Knight of Cups and the hammock with the period of frustration, lessons to be learned, makes me feel as if this is a period where we are learning how to really allow ourselves to just not be frustrated, allow ourselves to kind of just allow things to be. Like a lot of times when we are in the process of manifesting something or we're in the process of learning something, we have expectations of where we believe we should be or where we believe that our skills should have led us or something along those lines. And I think sometimes part of the process is simply understanding that there is a process for some people and it's not always going to look the same for one person as it is going to for another. Sorry, I meant funnel. Funnel was a period of frustration. Hammock was the vacation part. And even with the first card that we got with Kitty Pryde, it has the energy of acknowledging that, yeah, there are going to be frustrating periods when you're learning something, but allow yourself to simply accept where you are. And I think that allows things to be that much easier, if that makes any sense. Like, yeah, we can be frustrated. Yeah, you can want more. Yeah, you can still be pushing towards something that you desire. But at the same time, we can't be being angry with the progress that we've already made doesn't do us any good, especially when there are many times things to celebrate versus be frustrated about, and sometimes we don't see it from that perspective. We just see where we want to be versus all the things that we've already done in conjunction to what we were trying to bring in or where we were trying to head. So the Knight of Cups, I think it's the energy of mastering that aspect of our emotions and our being and taking that time to go on that journey to allow ourselves to not be overwhelmed by the experience. Learning how to allow our emotions to, kind of like the King or Queen of Cups, it's like being so in touch with your emotions to the point where it doesn't necessarily faze you, if that makes any sense. And then we have the Empress. I swear, I think this is like the card that pops up the most on this channel. So at the beginning, I said that I took time off to allow myself to have self-care. And that's because sometimes, again, there are periods of frustration and there are times like where we need to kind of just relax and pour into ourselves before continuing on like with the project. And sometimes that is taking a mental vacation to the best of your ability. It is taking, even if it's just like an hour off, days off, or time off from whatever it is that might be frustrating you so you can allow yourself to come back to it in a different energy or a little bit more refreshed, or at least with a clearer mind or clearer intention and focus. I'll pull a couple more. I'm trying not to keep this one too long, even though I say that every time, and then it turns out to be like a 10-minute reading. So the Three of Swords, it makes me feel as if this has been something that could be, or could have been, very difficult. It's not something that I think is easy to traverse. So maybe there's the energy of maybe grief or disappointment or despair. Like the Three of Swords is usually very heavy energy. And it also has the context of, many times, I wouldn't say the context of, but many times it also has to do with healing that energy and moving through it and traversing through it the best that we can. I think it's very easy for people to speak about manifestation and really just gloss over the visceral experiences that we have as humans that might not allow us to fully engage with manifestation in the way that we want. Sometimes we have issues with our nervous system, we have depression, we have this, we have all these different things that could be impacting how we are interacting with our manifestations. And with the Six of Swords, once again, it feels like this is the energy of, if things have been that difficult with the Three of Swords energy, then you're moving forward. This is after we've gone through that tumultuous time, that heartbreak, that really painful moment that allows us to head into calmer waters, that allows us to head into an era where things are a little bit more smooth for us. So we are moving forward and transitioning out of these heavier energies that were keeping us a little bit more, I guess, maybe looped or stuck, or maybe even just weighed down in a certain way. Pull a couple more. So we have the Nine of Swords, and then we have the Hanged Man. Oops, I always forget which way to put the Hanged Man. So it's definitely the energy of the mind being something that is very impactful. Like our mind is what creates reality, essentially, right? Like our subconscious mind is what is projected outward for us to experience. So whenever we are seeing the world through a lens of a lot of fear, anxiety, a lot of even just dealing with mental anguish, because a lot of times the Nine of Swords is genuine issues with your mental health, or having, not a clear mind, or having, a lot of fear or anxiety and stress around what is to come. A lot of times when we are going through what we're trying to manifest, we allow all the what ifs to pour into our mind or pour into our experience. And sometimes it's not even a matter of letting, sometimes it's a matter of having to work through it, because sometimes we can't necessarily prevent ourselves from having certain thoughts or having certain feelings about what we're trying to bring in. But what we can do is do our best to stay grounded, be aware that, yeah, these are the things that we're feeling, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's true, or that we have to stay in that energy. Sometimes we are allowed to feel anxiety or feel fear about something, but we don't always have to allow that to be the last determining factor. Sometimes it's the energy of us moving forward even with the fear and anxiety. And then with the Hanged Man, it's the energy of, sometimes we are in a period that seems like we are stuck or stagnant, but in reality it's like we're shifting perspective, or things are changing behind the scenes. And I know that's one of the most annoying things to hear, especially like when you've done a lot of internal work, that things are shifting, things are changing. But in my experience, the more that you allow yourself to, say, practice manifestation over time, it's something that your subconscious eventually starts to rewire. It's like when you practice anything, right? If you are practicing tennis, the more you're out there, the eventually better you get, because you're putting time and effort into it. Your body is starting to get muscle memory. Our subconscious is no different. So sometimes when we are allowing ourselves to be in this period of what feels like stagnation, what's really happening behind the scenes is a lot of subconscious and internal rewiring that's allowing reality to shift and change a little bit. And it doesn't always happen as fast as we are expecting, but the more that we allow that change the more we continue to embody that change, the faster reality will conform. And sometimes there is just a little bit of a delay, because there can be a bit of a gap between where we want to go and where we currently are. And that just takes a little bit more of consistent embodying until reality has no choice but to reflect that back to you. That is why that's why the concept of an overnight success comes. When people make the statement, it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. And not to say it takes 10 years to manifest. I don't want that in your mind. You can manifest overnight. But it's to say that sometimes there is a lot of work that goes into something before the reality that you're experiencing finally shifts and reflects that back to you. But either way, peace and blessings, you guys, and I'll catch you in the next reading.